Hi everyone, thanks for joining me again today. And I just wanted to touch base a bit about appraisals and the possibility of appraisal gaps. So an appraisal is essentially a process where an appraiser goes out to the property, and sometimes they actually do a desktop appraisal, so they don't necessarily visit the property. But the idea behind the process is to come up with an opinion of value. So that's important because the lender wants to make sure that not only the person purchasing the home is qualified to purchase, but also the property itself should have the value of the actual sale price. You know, it's a protection for the lender. The lender needs to be sure that, yes, you know, we're saying okay to this mortgage, but we want to make sure the property is worth what you're saying it is worth. Sometimes appraisals come in low. What you want is you want the appraisal to come in at or even slightly above the sale price. That's a perfect situation. When the appraisal comes in low, it doesn't mean necessarily that the deal is done, but it can make it a little more challenging. So what it means is the buyer and the seller and their respective agents need to come to some type of an agreement, preferably, or you're making a decision to walk away. So the three choices when the appraisal comes in low is that the buyer can say, this is all that I can do. I can only, have that sale price lowered. I can't afford to put any more money into the house. So that's choice number one. Choice number two would be that the buyer and the seller kind of give a little bit. You know, the buyer may say, okay, I'll contribute partially from my own funds to help fill some of that gap. And so they will come up with what that means. And, you know, the agents will work on the language as far as how that will be agreed upon. And both parties, of course, would need to sign off on that. The third option is that the buyer agrees to cover the entire gap. Now, what happens in a seller's market when you're placing your offer, deciding what to do in the event of an appraisal gap is an important thing. So if your offer is above list, you're going to want to have a conversation with your agent on the what ifs. You know, what if the appraisal comes in low? What do you want to do? Do you see yourself contributing partially to a gap, you know, not at all, or covering the whole gap? So that's a really important conversation. And whatever the results of that conversation or decision are, it can actually be written right into the offer so that the seller knows, yes, this person's going above list, but this is what they're going to do in the event of an appraisal gap. Okay, each state is a little bit different. So I'm speaking from the Rhode Island side. Each situation is a little bit different, but you know, it's an important piece of information to kind of think about, consider, and honestly write it into your offer. You know, especially if you're contributing, you know, and if you're thinking I'm going to contribute a pretty hefty amount, you know, if you put that into the offer, it may be a real selling point for the seller to accept your offer, but you have to be prepared to have it come from private funds. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'm happy to answer those questions. And you'll also see right under my photo here is a hashtag, a real estate moment. And so I've tagged that on to a number of my Facebook articles and also some of my LinkedIn information. So if you search that hashtag, you can find that information, and I really hope it's helpful. Thanks again for your attention. I appreciate it, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.